Good morning, e-learners. We just went over homework and the quiz. Hopefully by this time you have taken and finished your quiz. You can check PowerSchool and I will have a grade in there for you. By the way, for in-class kids, hey, at this point in your life, you should have access to your PowerSchool account, meaning if mom and dad have the password, you should have the password. Now, obviously, I can't tell your parents they have to do this, but what I would basically say is that you need to show some responsibility for your own grades and your accountability. Right? Please ask them so that you can know your grades. When a ninth grader comes up to me and says, "What's my grade in here?" I usually give a smart aleck response and say something like, "I don't know. Check for yourself." What I really mean is I need you to check your stuff. Yes, I can absolutely tell your grades at any point, but what I want you to do is start taking, control of your grades so that you know whether or not, oh, I'm in trouble in science class. Oh, I'm killing it in math class, that sort of thing. All right, if it's end of the quarter, what? I got 3 Ds? How's that even possible? You're not doing your job as a student. Well, obviously you got a D, but I'm saying you should know whether you're passing or failing. Not to start this on a bad note, but just remember, you fail, right? You are failing high school. You don't get the choice of, well, I guess I'm going on to the next grade. No, you have to make this. You will not graduate. You fail math, right? You got to go to summer school. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You go to summer school. Unlike, the lower grades where they literally may make you repeat a grade. There's no repeating grades in high school. There's going to summer school. And if you don't pass, you go the next year. The reason why some kids don't graduate is because they don't accrue enough credits. You pass the class, you get a credit for passing math. You have to have 4 credits to graduate high school with in math. So you're all going to pass this one, right? You get 1 credit, right? But God forbid, we run into a problem and you don't pass. It's not like you do 9th grade again, right? You have to make up during the summer. You have to make up Algebra-1. It's a pain in the butt. Don't do it. All right. Here we go. Hey, what's the one thing you don't want to hear right now? No, let's do more word problems. Let's do more word problems. Okay, so I guess in the big scheme of things, the reason why they only have you set up the problem is, well, first and foremost, some of the problems they gave you, right, you do not know how to solve right now. Like you can't solve them. So tonight, to get around that, and I'll just say it's because some of the ones they gave you were quadratics, which should mean nothing to you right now. To get around that, today's homework, it's basically the same stuff, but this time they're going to give you values to throw into the equations that you set up to see if it's true or false. Okay? So it's basically the same thing that we did over the weekend, meaning they're going to give you a problem. You got to set up an equation. But now, because you don't know how to solve quadratics yet, they're going to give you 4 or 5 values that you can plug in to see which one or which ones, plural, which ones work. So for those of you that are looking ahead, that's what they're going to do. Now, secondly, in the book, they only give you 1 example. And the way they set it up is by making a table of values. So yes, I'm going to show you that method using a table of values. But no, you can use some common sense, right? You don't have to use a table of values to do your evaluation, but you can. So I'll do it exactly the way it's in the book. If I were doing it personally, I might make a weak attempt at a table. I mean, mine would be nice, neat, and orderly, but putting it into a full-blown table, right? It's good for kids that need to be shown order, right, and neatness and arrangement. But for many of you, you're already neat and orderly to begin with. You don't have to do it in a table form. It'll make more sense when we do the first example. We okay to go?
Yes, sir.
All right, here we go. So it says a problem-solving plan, right? It's just basically word problems. They do try to give you some advice how to solve some problems. The recommended steps, box 1, right? The recommended steps. Well, it's the same as it was on Friday, which is step number 1. You don't read it once, you read it multiple times, right? After you've read it multiple times, you can kind of figure out what are the important bits of information and what are what we call extraneous information, okay? Tristan is 14 years old, right? He lives at 2450 Madison Avenue, right? He has 3 brothers and 2 sisters, right? How many siblings does he have?
30.
Does the fact that he's 14 and the fact that he lives at this address have anything to do with the problem? No, right? But you understand that if you read it multiple times, or you're listening carefully, or you're paying attention, right? There's going to be plenty of numbers and problems. Some of it you use, sometimes some of it you don't use. Just be ready for that. For a lot of students, they like to underline and circle the key information. But as you're reading it, don't just underline something because there's a number there. Make sure you underline it because it's part of the process of solving the problem. You're not going to know if it's part of the process until you read it multiple times and you're assured that the fact that he's 14 has or does not have anything to do with the problem. This is the only bit of advice I ever give students. There's more. The book actually calls, they say, make a sketch may help, right? I'm just going to tell you, there's not any word problems I don't do without making a sketch, drawing a picture. Now, my pictures may be nothing more than a dot and a label, but it's still a picture. So the if necessary thing is almost always, for me, necessary. Now, you are in Algebra 1. Literally, all my classes, except the geometry right now, are all doing word problems. So they don't have this, but you need to assign variables. You'll see the importance of it today. You've got to assign variables. The define part is important. So just because you say there's an X and there's a Y, or an A and a B, define it. A represents the amount of apples. B represents the amount of
bananas.
Bananas, thank you. Couldn't think there for a second. I was thinking bears.
Baboons.
Yeah, but like you said, I was thinking fruit, and I was like, what's fruit begins with B? And I couldn't think of it. At some point, you're going to have enough you can write an equation. So this is where we stopped on Friday. You wrote the equation, done. Today, you're going to solve it. And by solving it, I don't really mean solving it. By solving it, I mean today, they're going to give you possible values that work. You're going to figure out which one of those possible values works. In the big scheme of things, today's kind of contrived in the sense that very rarely will you be told, hey, these are the 3 possible answers. Chris, you with me?
Yeah.
All right, so last class, I took a word problem, I wrote the equation, right? And that was it. Today, I'm going to give you, I'm looking at the homework tonight. It looks like most of the time they give you 3 possible answers, right? You're going to figure out which one works. We okay?
Actually, good.
All right. Hey, remember the symbology from a few classes ago? What does it mean?
The possible answers. It's the bag.
Domain represents the bag of numbers that you can consider to be the answer. So one or more than one of these could be the answer. How do we figure out which one? The little E thing means. Remember?
Domain?
No,
By
it doesn't
plugging
mean.
it in.
What? Nope.
Oh, then you said, how do we figure it out?
It says Y is a member of this set of numbers. It means Y is one of these or more than one of these numbers. So we take each one of these numbers one at a time, we plug it in, and you see which one works. Rylan, which one works?
1.
Okay, let's see. 4 minus 1 is 3. 3 times 1 is in fact 3. Is that the only number that works?
Yeah, 3.
3 works. 4 minus 3 is 1. 1 times 3, 3. So there's 2 numbers that it works. Okay? All right. I can't talk. So this is what the book wants you to do. They want you to set up a table. This is the part I said, if it works for you, use it. If not, you don't need to use it. So you're going to have 3 columns. First, second, third. Okay? The first column is our possible answers. These are our possible answers, 0, 1, 2, 3. So possible answer 0, 1, 2, 3. The middle column is where they want you to do the work. And the last column, they just want you to put true or false. Seems like a lot of work, right? For some of you, this is a comfortable feeling, right? For those of you who are like, oh my word, that's just way too much work, right? Ryland said that the ones that worked were 1 and 3. So if you notice, here's the math. 4 times 0 is 4. Well, that's not 3. 4 times 1 is 3. Oh, yeah, that is 3. So it works for this one. 4 times, I said times. I meant subtraction. 4 minus 2 is 2. 2 times 2 is not 3. 4 minus 3 is 1. 1 times 3 is 3. So 2 of them work. The other 2 are false. So guess what the answer actually is?
Both of them.
So how do I write that?
You put x equals
It's not an x.
y equals 1 and 3.
Y equals 1 and 3. Now they would like you to put the ... Therefore, the solution set. Remember, set. We use braces for set. Contains the 2 numbers 1 and 3. Tonight for homework. Yeah, we're gonna have to do a couple of these to show you what the answers will look like. All right. So are we okay with this?
Yep.
All right. Tonight for homework, it's going to look like this with one exception. Instead of writing it like this, they're going to have the possible domain numbers written with just commas. It'll just be 3 numbers separated with commas, right? And oh, by the way, you have to write that portion. So that's the deal. Take a word problem, write an equation, use the given domain to figure out which one works, and then we're done. Okay, hey, that doesn't look too bad, right? These are all butt kickers. Every one of these is a butt kicker. Every one of these will kick your butt. So if you're sitting there like, oh man, I wish you'd stop talking, I already got this figured out, you probably don't. Pay attention to each one of these. It looks like this is nice and simple. These are all butt kickers. Algebra 1 is tough. All right, here we go. Let's see, Philip has 23 more than Kevin. Together they have 187 bucks. How much money do they each have? It says Kevin either has that amount, this amount, or that. It's like, ooh, it's like a trick or a game. You know, Kevin either has this amount, this amount, this amount, right? Wait a minute, Philip has 23 more than Kevin. Is it? How did I make it different?
You didn't put the Kevin has.
Oh, I didn't leave the Kevin has part. Okay. All right, so this is how your homework will look. It'll have one extra statement. It'll give you 3 possible answers. Okay, we got to write an equation for this sucker. This is a butt kicker. How many unknowns do we have up there?
3.
Unknowns. Like, how many things do we not know? What's one that you see that we don't know? We don't know how much Kevin does.
We don't know how much Philip has.
And we don't know how much Philip. So how many unknowns do we have?
2.
So how many variables, or how many variables do we need to consider? Now here's where you got to pay attention. Are we okay up to that point? I don't know how much either one of them has, right? So it seems like we would need 2 different variables, maybe P for Philip, K for Kevin. It ends up not being true. It ends up being like the problem with the rectangle, where we thought we had W and L. In fact, we only had one variable, W, because we were able to write the other variable, I'm going to use big math words here, in terms of the other one. Right? And that's the thing, right? Let me show you how this works. Okay, so here's our 3 possible answers. Before we do that, we got to write an equation. Right? 3 sentences, and it's a butt kicker. So we know we have 2 people we're dealing with, Philip and Kevin, yes? Right? How much money does Kevin have?
Kevin has K $100.
Right? Do we know how much Kevin has? We don't. We don't. So yes, K would be a better choice. I use X. We okay? How much does Philip have?
K plus 23.
How much? Well, how would I write that? Say it. X what? Why not minus? Yay? She had said it before as well, too. So, yeah, if we let Kevin have the X dollars, then Philip would have the X plus 20. Why in the world would I have said minus? Because you know what most of you will do? I'm going to go back. As it reads, who's the first person you come to? If you let Philip have X dollars, how much does Kevin have?
X minus 23.
What? Where am I getting that from? Where am I getting that from?
Because if Philip has 23 more, then Kevin would have 22 less.
If X represents how much Philip has, but Philip has $23 more than Kevin, right? You see where I'm getting that from? This is why this one is a butt kicker. Because it depends upon who you give X to. So you want to know the guidelines? Guess who you will always give the X or whatever variable you want to?
The number you're trying to find? The one you know less about.
The one that you know nothing about. You ever hear that? The one that you know nothing about, always give them the X. And the other kind of just floats from it. But I do want to make sure, you're going to see these get harder, right? Is that you got to read it and make sure it makes sense. Kevin, I know nothing about, but I do know that Philip has more than Kevin, 23 more. It makes sense, right? We okay?
Mm-hmm.
So X represents how much Kevin has. And if I know that he makes $10, then Philip has what, 33? Okay. Together they make how much? How much?
187.
So what do you want me to write? What? Say it. Yeah. The rest kind of just falls from that. We okay? Now what am I supposed to do?
Solve it.
Okay. Right now you technically don't know how to solve it, so I'm going to take these three numbers, plug them into here, and see which one works. Yes, next chapter we're going to solve this sucker. And in fact, most of you should be able to solve this one because you had me as your pre-algebra teacher. I know you know how to solve it.
No, terrible.
All right. So, yes, they would like you to make a table. Our three possible answers are that, right? Here's our equation, x plus 23 plus x equals 187. And you toss them in there. I'm going to stop right there. Could we get to an answer from there? All of you?
Yes.
Julie, yes or no? Could you get to an answer from there? Okay. I don't want to get stuck or spend a lot of time on the math. We're getting stuck on there or spend the time on the logic. Oh, by the way, what's the answer?
82.
Is it 82? Therefore, 82 is your answer. But wait a minute! It's not the answer. Because what does the question say?
How much money do they each have?
Do they each have? What did X represent? Philip or Kevin?
Yeah.
So how much does Philip have?
82 plus $25
It would be 82
plus 23.
plus the 23. So even though it looked like right here we found the answer, you don't. Because it didn't answer the question. How much money do they each have? Tonight for homework, every problem is like that. Tonight for homework, you're going to get to, quote, quote, the answer. Woohoo, I'm done. Or most of you will just simply say X equals 82. I'm sorry, Kevin has 82. And you'll be like, I'm done. You got to read the question, make sure you have a complete total answer. Who's lost? Okay, tell me where you lost, Julie. Why does it say X plus 23? Where did I get the number 23 from? How much more? And more means what mathematically? And that's where that came from. The key was that we knew nothing about Kevin. He gets the variable. That was the key. Hey, did I say these were easy or hard today?
Hard.
These are going to be hard. This is the easiest of the hard ones. They only get harder from here. So don't wait to the end of the problem. Not that it was bad, but don't wait to the end of the problem to stop me. I didn't get that step. Yeah. Okay. How much money does Kevin? We don't know. He gets X. We do know something about Philip. What does he have? Well, that would be X plus 23. Why? He has $23 more than Kevin. Why am I pointing to X and saying Kevin? Because you told me X was Kevin. And together, that means add, they have $187. And then it says, which one of these three numbers makes this equation, same one right here, true? Okay. Yeah. Now they come. If you're going to make a mistake, it'll be on these that I show you right now. These are hard. It says an oil painting is 16 years older than the watercolor. The oil painting is also 3 times older than the water. Oh, I'm already lost, right? How old is each painting? The possible answers are 4, 8, and 12. Okay. Notice on the previous one, it started talking about some sums, and it says they totaled this. Does it say anything about a total? Do you see any words up there that say total? Right? They don't add up to a number. In fact, look at me. We're going to have to write an equation where they're equal. The ones that don't say they have a total, you have to write the equation so that they are equal to each other. You're like, wait a minute, they're not equal to each other, and I agree. We're going to write an equation so they are equal to each other. You got to tell me if you lost on that basic concept. Why am I doing that? Because it doesn't say they total. It doesn't say if you take the 2 ages of the watercolor and the oil painting, they add up to 153 years. It just talks to me about, I don't know, the relationship between the two. If it only talks about the relationship between the two, we're going to set them equal to each other and then plug in the information. Okay, so that's our basic idea. And by the way, I think most of them are done like this. We have 2 things up there. We have oil paintings and, all right, this is my picture. All right. It says an oil painting is 16 years older than the watercolor, so I don't know anything about the watercolor at the start. That's why it gets the X. Now be careful. It says an oil painting is 16 years older than the watercolor. So how old? What are we going to write for oil painting?
Plus 16. Plus 16.
Right? We okay with that? It looks like to be exactly the same as the other one. But remember, I said that we're going to set these 2 things equal to each other, but they're not equal to each other. Why? Because of the next sentence. Read it. The oil painting is, it's also 3 times older than the watercolor. This is the one that will kick your butt. Now really pay attention. There's a strategy in math that says make the problem easier. I'm going to make the problem easier. It says that the oil painting is 3 times older than the watercolor. Yeah? Give me some numbers that we can wrap our head around. Okay? If the oil painting is 3 times older than the watercolor, give me a nice friendly number to work with.
Oh. You have to do 8 times 3.
Hold on, just give me a nice friendly number to work with.
2.
2. If the watercolor is 2 years old, how old is the oil painting?
12.
Look what I underlined.
2 times 16.
Look what I underlined.
3.
So therefore, how old is the oil? If the watercolor is 2,
6.
you see what I did there? I'm trying to grasp what I got to do with the problem by using friendlier numbers. This is a standard math technique. It says the watercolor we know nothing about, but we know that the oil painting is 3 times older than the watercolor. So I said literally just pick any number you want, friendly, and write it down. I did 2. 6. I want to say that these 2 are equal to each other. You really got to pay attention. Here comes the kicker. Are those equal to each other right now?
Nope.
How could we make them equal to each other? I literally want this number to be equal to this number, so I need to do something. Tell me something I could do to make them equal. I could subtract, but this doesn't say subtraction, it says multiplication. So is there something I could do to multiply one side so it would be equal?
2 times 3.
If I took the watercolor's age and multiplied it by
3.
So if I took this, are they now equal? I want this and this to be equal. What would I have to do to the x to make them equal? By
3.
That's the technique. We're going to do 3 of these. And each time you're going to get a little bit better at it. But first, you should be really confused. Where did the 2 come from? I made it up. But even if I pick 4, what would this number be? If I pick 4 and this one's 3 times older, what would this number be? So what would I have to multiply this by so that they're not equal? I'm still multiplying by the same number. In other words, if I want the oil and the watercolor to be equal, I got to take the watercolor and multiply it by 3. Now they're equal. Now can we toss those numbers in? And I'm only going to spend time on the setup. I'm not spending any time on this. Once you have that, I'm not spending any time on the answer because the rest is kind of easy. Am I overstating that it's easy once you get that?
No.
Like tossing these 3 numbers in to see which one works? Stop me now if you don't agree. Okay? So there's the first one. The first one you should be very uncomfortable. All right, he kind of lost me. The second one you should be getting it. By the third one, you're on it. Okay? The ones that don't say the 2 added together is $187, we're going to be setting them equal to each other. Every one tonight for homework. The ones that don't say the 2 added together is blah, 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 then we're going to set them equal to each other. But each time there's going to be a trick. Oh, by the way, we also could have done it another way. Ugly. What would mean exactly the same thing? Instead of multiplying this by 3, what could we have done to this? I would not recommend this. Right? Remember the 2 numbers we had before, 12 and 4, right? If we divide this by 3, are they not equal now? You tell me what's easier to do, division or multiplication? I'm going to have one example where I do the division, but I'm saying I would always recommend use multiplication. Okay. If you have that choice. All right, I said you should be, oh, by the way, what's the answer? Which one worked?
8.
Okay. This part is the easy part. And this is the hardest part right here. All right. Did we answer it? How old is each painting? Well, the watercolor, which was X, is 8. Therefore, the oil painting is?
24.
What is it?
24.
Where am I getting that from?
8 plus 4.
Okay. We all right?
Yeah.
Probably not.
That was it. I guess they.
Man, look, it's so short and it's so hard. All right. I said these would be hard. All right. A bus went 318 kilometers further than a car. Which one do we know nothing about?
The car.
So the car gets the variable. Now that should start making some sense. Right? What do you want to use for a variable?
X.
You probably would choose a C, and I probably chose an X. Right? So X is the distance for the car. Take this sentence, went further. Mathematically, that means what? Further.
Addition.
What?
Addition.
Addition? We okay? You said you were going to stop me early if you're not getting this. What am I going to write right here?
X plus 318.
Stop me. Do we know anything about the car from this sentence right here? That's why the car gets the variable. Well, it said the bus went 318 further. Further means abstract multiply divide. That's why it's X plus 318. Does it say they went a total of something together?
Nope.
Therefore, this is one of those equal ones. I want to set the bus equal to the car. Once again, I'm going to use friendly numbers. Friendly numbers. It says the car went a third as far as the bus. So you got to give me some numbers again. Give me a friendly number.
2.
Big number this time. Divisible by 3, please.
100.
Divisible by 3, please.
90.
If the bus was 90,
What do you got there?
how far did the car go? It says the car went 1/3 as far as the bus.
Yeah.
So
30.
if the bus went 90, the car went 30. Is that not 1/3 of 90?
Yes.
Okay, I need these to be equal.
Multiply it times 3.
Pick and choose. You got 2 options. What are the 2 options? If I want this, where are you getting these numbers from? I made them up. I made them up so that I could have friendly numbers to work with. I could have used 9 and 3 as well, right? Even friendlier. Okay. It says the car went 1/3 as far. Hey, notice 3 is smaller than 9. That's a third of 9. Car went a third as far as the bus. That ain't equal. I got to do something.
Multiply
You have
the
2 options. First one is,
multiply the 3 times 3.
or
Divide the name by 3.
2 options. You either can multiply this by 3, now they're equal, right? Or I can divide by 3. Previous one, I multiplied by 3, right? I'm just saying, multiply by 3, it's your better choice, always. Okay? But if I wanted to, right, I could divide this whole thing by 3.
So to do
See what I did? If I wanted to, right, now they're equal. I said I was going to show you one where I did division. It is your option.
Can you just do x plus 318 times 1/3?
Yes, that's the same thing.
Mr. Cheyenne?
Yeah.
So since you made up the numbers, would we put those numbers in instead of making up a number?
No. I was just so this is the hard one, right? A third is part. You gotta have some numbers in your mind just so you can wrap your head around what does it mean. Now, other people say, "What do you mean numbers?" It says a third. That's divide by 3, or multiply the other side by. My issue is that what I typically see the mistake is they put it on the wrong variable. Notice it says a car when a third is hard. What I'll see most kids do is they'll say, "Oh, then that's x divided by 3." It's not, right? And that's why I plug the numbers in so I don't make that mistake. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm confused. So equals x. So x would be the car, the 3 numbers that they're giving us, right?
Yes.
But what equals what? What are we subtracting or dividing or?
Well, we know that the bus went 318 further, so that would be x plus 318, yes?
Yes.
Okay. Why am I dividing the bus by 3 and not the car by 3? Doesn't say the car went its third. This is where picking those numbers allows you to wrap your head around this, right? Give me another number that's divisible by 3.
12.
Let's use 21, right? If I use 30, then there's other 3s. So if I put 21, if the bus goes 21, whatever, kilometers, miles, it says the car went a third as far as that. What's a third of 21?
7.
Yeah. So what
I have to write that they're equal. I have to write that they're equal.
But what would we do on the actual equation?
We'll get there. I just want to make sure you understood why I'm dividing this side by 3 and not that side. And you can see it clearly here, right? It does read, though, doesn't it say the car went as third? Don't you really want to divide this by 3? Well, then they're not equal.
A third as far as the other two.
Agreed. That's why you have to either divide this side by 3 or multiply that side by 3.
I just confused on what we do on the actual.
We're not there yet. Am I okay to move on? Did I say today was easy or hard? Really hard day. Really hard day. Okay. So that's what, and this is Josie's question. She goes, well, now what do I do? This is what you're going to toss into your table, right? My possible values are that, all right? Do you agree? Now, obviously the math is really ugly this time. It's a really ugly equation, right? But do you agree that you could get to the answer with that equation and these numbers? One of them. Did anybody do it yet? Kind of ugly, right? Well, let's see. Ugly numbers, uglier numbers. One of those equals 151. All right, I will just show you it's the bottom one. Okay, but I don't want to spend time on doing an inconsequential calculation when what to do is very easy at this step right here. The hard step is what? Writing the equation is the hard step, and it's challenging. This caused tears when I was in 9th grade. Really? I remember this section. I just remember not being able to do it. Right? Why? Because my teacher never. Maybe I'm giving you my explanation. My teacher. It wasn't the first sentence. It's the second sentence that trips everyone up. Right? The third, most people know it's something's getting divided by 3, but what's getting divided by 3? And that's why multiple times they're trying to make an emphasis. Okay, so we find out that the number that works is 159, but remember, that's only for the x. The other one is, well, now I got to plug in that for this and just do that side of it right there, okay? All right, so when you plug in the other one, you add 318 to it, you get the second answer.
Okay.
Most of Algebra 1 is not as challenging as today.
Okay.
Most of Algebra 1, it's just a process. This one requires real solid thinking. Last one. All right, you pick. What numbers did I assign?
2
2
and
10
evens.
evens.
We let Rylan pick last time, so he doesn't get to pick this time. Julie, you get to pick.
I needed help on.
She's thinking.
We'll figure it
Doesn't really matter. You can pick any one that you want.
out.
But don't spend 5 minutes because we only have 5 minutes. Number, which one? I can't hear what you're saying. 2. Let's look at number 2. A gym is 21 years newer than the auditorium. So we got gym and we got auditorium. Do we know anything about the auditorium?
No.
So the auditorium gets your X. Equals auditorium. Age. The gym is 21 years newer. What does newer mean? In years. Ooh, this is a hard one. Think about years. If she's 10 years newer than me, is that plus 10 or subtract 10? If this is older and this is newer, is that add or subtract? That is subtract. It's got to be, right? If this was 8 years old and she's 6 years newer, then she's 2 years old, right? So this would be X minus, what was the number for number 2?
Oh.
How many years older or newer?
21.
21? Okay. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Right? Okay. There's your first sentence. The gym is 1/4 as old as the auditorium. So now I don't have a total. I got one of those equal. Pick a number that's divisible by 4. Friendly number.
12.
12.
8.
I'm going to put that as 12. What does the second sentence say? It says the gym is also 1/4 as old, I lost my place, as the auditorium. If the gym is 1/4 as old as the auditorium, what number would have to go here?
X times 4.
No, forget about the X's, just friendly numbers. Does this now say the gym is 1/4 as old as the auditorium? No, it says the auditorium is 1/4. So we would need to put 48 right here. See that?
Oh.
Now the gym is 1/4 as old. Yes? Okay. So now what do I truly have to do to these to make them equal?
Multiply 1.
Which one am I going to multiply by?
12.
I'm going to multiply the gym by, what would make these equal? By 4. So I'm going to take this whole thing and multiply it by 4. Now they're equal. So what's the equation? 4 x minus 21 is equal to x. Now they're equal. That's how it's done. She picked a hard one. What are our possible answers? No. Read. 26, 27, 28. 26, 27, 28. Which one works? We can do this kind of quick.
29.
Better not be 29, then there's no answer.
I like that.
All right, 26 minus 21 is?
24.
26 minus 21
4. Yep. 5.
times 4 is not 26. 27 minus 21 times 4 is not, hey, stop. Take that off your head. 28 minus 21 is? 28 minus 21 is? 28 minus 21 is?
7.
And 7 times 4 is? So therefore the answer is 28. Did that answer the whole question?
No.
The question says, how old is each building? What did we set X to?
28.
The auditorium or the gym?
Auditorium.
So the auditorium is 28. How old is the gym? The gym was just that part. So how old is the gym?
Oh, it's 7 years old.
It's 7 years old. So we actually got 7 and 28 were our two ages. Gym is 7, and the auditorium is 28. Check it out. The gym is 1/4 the age of the auditorium. I got to really stress, how did I get to that answer? No one had a problem with this, but everyone still has a problem with, how do I get to where does the 4 go? And I'm just going to tell you, it's straight up, you got to pick some random numbers, right, that work for the situation. At least in my mind, that's how it's done. Other people can look at it and say, what are you talking about? It says 1/4. The question is, which one gets either multiplied or divided by 4? That's where I think my technique of throwing some random numbers that match the sentence allow you to quickly figure out which one is either multiplied or divided by 4. All right, we're done.
Yeah, that's not as hard as you think.
Oh, are you doing homework? Yeah, I'm gonna work. I don't know if we're supposed to like it. I don't know if we're supposed to. Oh, mine died. So I stole my mouse. Oh no. All right. Oh no, we gotta use. I'm so hungry. You know what I have for lunch? Bread. You have nothing to eat? No. This is my lunch. Bread.
Really hard. That's why I'm thinking she wasn't going to take one.
We're moving. This is what I have.
Get out of here, guys.
I also don't want to give you the, I mean, it's your choice, not mine.
I'm just finishing this real quick.
It's not easy. Tired, late. No.
Who's got a calculator handy? Mark.
All right. 12 answer. That's my spot.
Right by bottom. That's right.
Not actually hard. I was struggling with it at first, but that's just because I hate paper and I don't use the math. I don't
What's that?
What is that as a percent?
Just kind of a little hard.
Times 100.
Josie.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you after lecture.
Put it way in there. All right.
90.
Ron, you're the agent again. You guys did
You have glasses? I should have started glasses the entire year. No, I didn't. Oh, okay. I was like, I didn't see better. Have I been blind this entire time? Oh, no, I haven't.
Less than
I gotta open
Give
up
it to me, Ryan. I'll never guess what. So, you know what? You know what my stupid dumb butt did? So I bring the shirt that never buttons. Oh, and then I also forgot my volleyball. Yeah, separated. But I'm already put them right inside.
where you lost.
You're talking about things that I have.
It's not homework.
You've already substituted in.
Homework.
It's now in the, what was in it?
That's not thinking.
Not
No,
homework.
that's it.
That's 4 times.
Does anybody have a 4
If we did, why would we give it to you?
Because I have my feeling hurt.
How about COVID?
Well, it doesn't say 20. It doesn't. That's the one that they say. There's only one of them that really have to get all of them out. You get literally left side equals right side. Your eyes are rolling back.
1 of 4 out. You guess correct. That's what my mom went. You guess correct, we'll give it back. You don't know that. Like sports.
Sometimes so the left side turns into 28, the right side already was. I like it better like this. So it's 4 times right?
Someone did have it.
21 equals 8. That's the equation.
Broski,
Now, the first time I'm at 26 equals 8. Second time, 27 equals 8. The third time, 28 equals 8. So 26. 26 minus 21 is 5. 5 times 4 is 20. You get 20 equals 28. Because remember, anywhere there's A is 28. I'm sorry, anywhere there's A, there's a 26 for the first one. That's not true. For the second one, I'm letting A do 27. Well, let's see. 27 minus 21.
I can't do that. I'm probably gonna laugh everyone.
Clearly, that's not true. The third one, you're letting it be 28. 28 minus 21. So there's only one that makes the left side go. Oh, and so at the very end, it says, well, then how much is both? Remember how you started the whole thing? Hopefully, when you start with an equation, you start with, let's let A equal the age of the auditorium, and the gym was out. What was it? Right? I'm saying, originally, when we set, we're setting this up, you let A equal the auditorium, you let it be A minus 21 years. New, right? So now to find the final answer, you know that A minus 21 years. The second one is A minus 1. That's how we know the gym is 7 and the auditorium. That's a big lunchbox. Bigger than your head. Egg salad? We're gonna get water. Go check. Never got filled back up.
That French bread apparently.
So I like bread.
You literally only have bread for your lunch. You know what? I had 3 carrots and an empty tortilla for lunch. Oh, but way before.
Josie, what do you think you got on the quiz?
I think I got a good grade.
Come here and grade your quiz.
I think I got a new 84, 41. Did I just not do that one?
You just didn't do that one.
Can I do it real quick?
Hurry up.
I didn't look at the answer on that one yet.
The Batman. New trailer out now. Why did I just not do that? I was supposed to do that.
The Batman.
All right, e-learners, we'll see you tomorrow. If you have any questions, send me an email.